Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Brady drank his sorrows in a pub when Alex came up behind him. After helping himself to a table seat, Alex started moaning about his difficult week. The reason was probably the same reason Brady was back on the bottle as he was. Brady admitted to sipping club soda and commiserated with Alex that it had been a difficult period. Alex felt that he was just another loser and that victors will had not included him. Brady raised his glass to losers, and Alex added the Teresa to the conversation. Alex bemoaned his lack of a place to reside. Brady brought up Xander, and while Alex accepted that Xander's feelings were likely complicated, Xander continued to lead the life that Alex had felt had been rightfully his. Brady told Alex that he was lucky to still have Justin as a father figure. Regaining Justin's position in his life had been the one silver lining, Alex acknowledged. Brady was subsequently reprimanded by Alex for maybe getting back together with Kristen. Brady described his connection with Kristen as radioactive and his relationship with Teresa as toxic. He announced a break from women and vowed that neither relationship would take place again. When Alex said the same thing, he began to have his doubts. Brady and Alex parted ways amicably, with Brady offering to cover the cost of their beverages. Brady texted Tate before heading out of the bar. Stephanie got off the hospital elevator in a depressed mood. As soon as Kayla welcomed her, she knew something wasn't right. Stephanie broke the heartbreaking news of Everett's death to her stunned mother. Stephanie spoke about what had transpired and her feelings of remorse for not being able to support Everett through his suffering, while Kayla consoled her. Kayla advised Stephanie not to hold herself responsible for Everett's psychological problems. Stephanie said that Everett had come out of his coma and declared his love for her. Sobbing in Kayla's arms, Stephanie regretted not having had the chance to respond. Stephanie declined Kayla's offer of a place in her and Steve's house, stating that she would be returning to the apartment she had lived with Chad. They spoke about how Chad can't seem to let go of Abigail. Since Chad would be left in limbo in the absence of conclusive answers, they'd both wished for the best for Chad in his quest for Abigail. Stephanie regretted that Everett had ever made an attempt to locate her when her thoughts returned to him. Kayla said that Stephanie needed to reconsider her perspective and recall the enjoyable moments she shared with Everett. Kayla informed Stephanie that she had been prepared to hold off on helping him heal. Once again, Stephanie sobbed on Kayla's shoulder. When Chad and Jack got to the Poplar Bluff warehouse, they found a closed door. Kicking in the door, Chad said he would not waste another second if Abigail was present. When Jack and Chad ran in, they were startled to discover a gagged and apparently comatose John. Jack roused him, and Chad unfastened John. A dazed John was shocked to discover he was in Missouri rather than Greece and was similarly confused as to why Jack and Chad were there. To make a phone call to Marlena, Jack handed John a phone. When Marlena responded, she was glad to hear John's voice instead of Jack's at first. She was curious as to what had transpired. John gave her his word that he was okay and that he had come to terms with Katharina's passing. He stopped the conversation, saying he would explain when he got home. After assessing the space, Chad concluded that it had to be the same space as the one seen in the movie. John questioned Chad and Jack's arrival once again. When Chad said that he and Jack had been looking for Abigail, John arched an eyebrow. John was skeptical and cautioned the guys not to accept Clyde when Chad and Jack informed them of Clyde's story. In response to Chad's question, John said he had no memory of his kidnappers or any reference to an unidentified lady. John said he wanted to wait for his captors to come back, but Chad urged that Jack and he remain as well. Chad hoped the abductors might know anything about the unidentified lady. John vehemently discouraged it, but Chad wouldn't give up. Chad saw a piece of jewelry on the floor after Jack's transport of John to the hospital. He looked it over, wondering whether it was Abigail's. Frantically, Marlena approached Steve at her workplace over John's location. Reluctantly, Steve apologized and acknowledged that John was absent. Steve related how he had gone to Katharina's grave and discovered a blood-stained message in addition to flowers. Steve could not even verify whether John was still alive. Steve questioned Marlena about why John was with Jack after their conversation. Marlena updated Steve on what was happening in Missouri. At Katharina's burial, John had informed her that someone had struck him over the head, but he was unable to identify who had done it. Marlena also remarked on how peculiar it was that Jack and Chad had discovered John and where he had ended up. Steve thought the site could have anything to do with Clyde's claim that Abigail was still alive. Kayla was relieved to see that John had been found when she joined Marlena and Steve. But when Kayla was ready to inform Marlena about Everett, her mood darkened. Fiona begged Xander for another opportunity at mending their relationship as they were in her hotel room. He seemed to soften when she told him that he loved him, but he became sidetracked when he saw panties on the floor. Xander grabbed them and insisted on finding out who owned the knickers. Fiona recollected telling Brady to go out the window. After that, she told a tale of how she had met a guy at Naughty Bits and spent the evening with the charming gentleman. Given that Fiona had just arrived in the city, Xander pondered the identity of the guy. Fiona said she was uncomfortable talking to her son about the matter and rejected the idea that Xander may know the guy. Fiona persisted in presenting Xander with her case for having changed, and Xander acknowledged that the talk was becoming difficult. She said that she had tried hard to stay sober and that her isolation from him had not been a conscious decision. Xander gave his mother his word that he accepted her. If Xander had forgiven her, Fiona inquired. Xander recalled his constant sense of being the black sheep in the family and his inability to understand Fiona's deception of him. Fiona made another attempt to justify her behavior by citing her sobriety. Xander could forgive his mother since he realized he'd been given a lot of second chances. Fiona became sad and gave him a hug. Xander joked that he could only take his anger towards one parent at a time. Fiona spoke up for Victor, saying that he had given Xander his inheritance in an attempt to make things right. Gently, she inquired when Xander intended to assert his birthright. Xander said he was unsure because of how Victor had handled him. Additionally, Xander maintained that he wanted to spend time with Sarah and Victoria since they had improved him. Fiona mocked Xander's transformation into Mr. Mom and his plan to resign from his position as CEO of a global company. She insisted that her kid go under the name Alexander Kyriakis. Xander worried whether Fiona disapproved, but he wanted to concentrate on getting married to Sarah. Fiona maintained that she didn't and that, in light of the previous developments, she had just not wanted Xander to make a significant life choice. Fiona backed him because he promised he could multitask if he chose to lead Titan. When it came time for the wedding, Xander invited her. Brady arrived at Fiona's door after Xander departed, and she smiled provocatively to welcome him inside. Brady scooped up his boxers to put them back on as they made jokes about his earlier window escape. Reminding Brady that she'd mentioned 3 times the charm about his remaining in her bed, Fiona stopped him. In response, he gave her a powerful kiss. Brady pulled her top off, and they both collapsed into the bed, giggling. With a heavy heart, Alex cleared his desk as soon as he entered the Titan executive office. When Xander arrived, he stopped him and offered to keep Alex at Titan. Rejecting the offer, Alex said he believed Xander would manage Titan well since he had managed the business well in the past. Maggie had asked Alex to give Xander Victor's watch, so he can as well, taking it off afterward and giving it to Xander. After accepting the watch, Xander and Alex exchanged good wishes. When Stephanie got to her apartment door, she bumped into Alex, who had moved in across the hall once again. Thanks for watching if you like this video. So please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.